A few months ago, I made my first YouTube Safari video about the Gacha Studio community. It was a fun video, I had a lot of fun making it, and while I may have had a very critical tone throughout, I really didn't mean any ill will to anyone in the gacha sphere. It was just a good-natured look at something I find really funny. However, a lot has happened in the gacha community since we last looked at it. I can safely say that if I had put off making that video until now, I would have taken a very different tone. Incredibly different. Just as a warning, this video is going to feature content that some viewers might find disturbing or unsettling. Some of this stuff made me feel legitimately uncomfortable, so watch this at your own risk. Furthermore, this video is also going to include my opinion, so if you think that will upset you, feel free to not watch it. Especially if you're a Gachatuber. With that out of the way, let's continue our Safari. Hello everyone. Is everyone doing well? Are we all having a good day? Awesome. Let's try to ruin that. To recap from where we last left off, the Gacha Studio YouTube community is a group of creators who make videos and stories using the anime dress-up apps in the gacha game franchise by Luname. That much hasn't really changed. However, you might find it interesting to note that Luname has just released a new game called Gacha Life. I'm not sure if it's a rebranding of Gachatubers or if they ditched the last one and started all over again, in which case I really wouldn't be surprised, but this one has a couple more features, which I guess is cool. Oh, there are mini-games too, and one of them is a Baldi's Basics math game. Why am I making a video about this? Why have I made 2 videos about this? Anyway, the sprites haven't improved since Gachaverse, so there isn't really anything to write home about there. I just figured I'd mention it since I want to stay up to date with my information at the very least. But in case you couldn't tell, that's not what I wanted to talk about in this video. Luname making a bad game is the last thing I'm concerned about right now. Gachatube has really been blowing up lately. It might have been the release of the new game, or it might have just been commonplace before and I've just never realized it, but it seems like gacha videos have really been gaining traction. And I mean really. They've been getting millions of views already, sure, but now people outside the community have started to piggyback off their success. I've been getting recommended Bijou Mike's gacha reaction compilations more than I want to admit. It pains me to see people fall that far, it really does. But this isn't exactly a shock. People like Bijou Mike have built up their fan bases with a majority preteen audience, and this is just what preteens are into these days. It's like Yandere Simulator, it's like Five Nights at Freddy's. All these things that get popular and eventually, through some strange branding workaround, get chewed up and spat out for the ravenous little munchkins to sink their teeth into, are fair game for channels like this. It was only a matter of time before people started looking to capitalize on the trend, but there's a bit of a problem with that. Things like Five Nights and Bendy and Baldi's Basics are properties. The content most people make with these properties is lazy and uninspired, sure, but it's not like the trademark in question cares in the slightest. You're not really doing anything inherently wrong. Gacha videos, however, aren't just a property. Even if I think it's low-effort content, ripping those videos and cannibalizing them is exploitation of somebody's work. Mostly children's work. You aren't only using these kids to turn a profit, but you're monetizing the gacha video concept, incentivizing more people to take advantage of these creators and their audiences. You're inserting yourself into this community, a group of people whose only intention is to create for their own pleasure and support other like-minded individuals, and you're using them to make money. That's ultimately what it is. And speaking of exploitation, let's talk some more about monetization. The last time we took a look at this, I rather boldly claimed that I'd never seen a Gacha Studio video monetized. It turns out that I was naive to assume that we can have nice things. I have now seen videos from numerous Gachatubers with the ads enabled, discluding reactions and other compilations. In theory, is this alright? Yeah, sure, I guess. But if I'm being completely honest, and this is entirely my opinion, I really don't think people should be making money from their gacha videos. I admit there is some extent of effort that goes into creating gacha content, whether that's in the form of writing a story or editing. With that being said, though, a lot of effort goes into making things like anime edits too. It's a totally respectable way to express yourself, and it can be great practice for serious projects, but in the end, it's very hard to monetize these types of videos because they use copyrighted content. It's using somebody else's media to hone your skills. And yes, while many YouTubers also use other people's content in their videos, there's a huge difference between an anime edit and a The Right Opinion video, which uses stock images and sounds for visuals. The external content used in the anime edit is the central focus of the piece, while on the contrary, the commentary video applies music and pictures to serve as accessory pieces, changing their meaning with relevance to the script and context. That doesn't mean the former lacks value, but there is a reason it isn't usually monetizable on its own, apart from the obvious fact of copyright. Gacha content is a bit different. There's no legal precedent against making a profit from it, since Ludome developed the app to be used for making videos and endorses the Gachatube community, but I believe there is a case to be made against its inherent monetizability. The app is a template generator, and its specific sprites and backgrounds are almost unquestionably the central focus of any gacha video. I think it's fair to make personal content with the game, that's what it was intended for, and it can serve as a great way to plan out scenes and dialogue for your story, but that doesn't mean content made with it does or really should operate as a standalone entity capable of turning a profit. Treating gacha content as a serious media contender is a lot like, say, referring to Go Animate videos as animation content and treating it as such. Of course, Go Animate content has its individual value, but it is important to acknowledge where a video, at least partially, stops becoming yours. Furthermore, and I don't think this is a controversial opinion, it would be at least a little bit unfair to lump animators and Go Animate creators in the same boat. That much goes for Gachatubers with literally everyone else as well. With that in mind, I do think there are some potential exceptions. For example, I guess you could use gacha characters as talk sprites or profile pictures, but in that case, it would really just be better to commission someone. There are tons of artists out there who need your attention, money, and care way more than Luname ever will, and they'll create something much more appealing, I promise you. If you can't afford to do something like that, you could always draw something yourself. Hell, you could draw your bad gacha OCs if you really wanted to. Even if you're not an artist, learning how to do these things yourself will help you tremendously as a content creator. Keep in mind, this is all my opinion, and if you're a Gachatuber who's upset about this, then, well, I'm not sure what to tell you, honestly. Sorry. You can think and do whatever you want, I just wanted to put that out there before I get more not all Gachatubers comments. If you like what you do and you think it's respectable, you are under no obligation to justify it to me, and I respect what you do. It's just not something I personally agree with. However, and this is the big however, there are some things which I believe are completely unacceptable, like merch, for instance. Yes, I'm being completely serious. This is official merch released by a channel called Gacha Studios. There is probably some kid out there wearing Gacha Studios merch right now. Let that sink in. Like, really sink in. For context, Gacha Studios is a channel run by a 13-year-old girl, known for many such classics like The Pregnant Man. This is a series on her channel. Okay, I have no intention of bullying this 13-year-old girl. I don't have any ill will against her, and if she's making the videos she wants to make, then that's excellent. I don't have any problem with her, personally. However, Gacha Studios is obviously not just run by this 13-year-old girl. The way the description is worded, the things this child is allowed to do regarding her YouTube career, and the fact that their many accounts are directly linked all over the channel more than just implies that Gacha Studios is a family endeavor. Their family has a YouTube channel which was created back in September of 2016, formerly going by the name Kids, Toys, and Dolls Videos for Kids. It has had very limited success. From the looks of it, Gacha family has been looking for YouTube success for quite some time. They tried their hand at a family channel, which only sort of worked, and then floundered around for a while until their daughter's gacha videos started turning in the numbers. They've rebranded their online presence to completely revolve around this girl's gacha relevancy. They're setting up appearances for her at conventions, getting her sponsorship deals, selling this terrible merch. All the stuff that I doubt a kid would be doing themselves. And while, yes, there may be a very slim possibility that this girl is just doing all this stuff without suggestion and her parents are just helping her follow her dream, for some reason I doubt that it was her idea to sell a shirt of her cat girl character farting to literal babies. I mean, what? Who would get this for their child? I really don't think kids having YouTube channels is a bad idea. I don't think parents assisting their children with their YouTube channels is bad either. However, I feel really conflicted about this particular example. From what we've seen, this family is very interested in using YouTube as a source of revenue, and it really feels like they're pushing this kid to be more than she is with her Gacha Studio channel. It feels like they're only really concerned with latching onto relevancy and exploiting any hint of popularity they can find. I mean, this kid is really just a kid. She likes making gacha OCs and role-playing with them and being a regular child. I have a sneaking suspicion that many aspects of her videos and channel aren't made because she wants them there particularly, but because she has had guidance from her parents. I mean, come on, I don't know about you, but when I was 13, I would not have made a running series on my channel about men getting pregnant. Maybe an mpreg scene in a fanfiction once or twice. What? Oh, like you didn't have that phase too. But I don't know this girl and her motivations. She could be doing all of this solely because she wants to. Her parents could be doing nothing more than supporting her. That's always possible. Either way, though, I think it's still important to be wary of the impacts fame like this can have on someone her age. Especially someone who just seems to want friends and to mutually share her OCs and stories. And also, either way, this merch line is unacceptable. The graphics aren't even sized correctly. And again, they could have at the very least commissioned someone for original artwork. Let the kid have creative control and get some sweet designs from an artist she likes. If this isn't explicitly illegal, it's at least insulting. You know, it really shows how you view your audience when like a good quarter of your merch line is for literal babies. But believe it or not, that's not even the most of what I wanted to talk about today. Yeah, it gets even more insane. I know that at this point I'm probably repeating myself, but I mean it when I say I'm going to address some sensitive topics. Are we all peachy keen on that? Awesome. Let's talk about Movie Star Planet. In case you didn't already know, Movie Star Planet is an online flash game created by never mind, I really don't care. All you need to know is that it's an online game for kids, like Club Penguin, except all the characters are hellish skinwalkers. It's pretty bottom of the barrel in terms of quality. So what does all this have to do with Gachatubers? It seems pretty out of left field, right? I'll get to that in a minute. A while ago, probably 2 months at least, I was scrolling through my recommended feed on YouTube for something to watch after getting done with school for the day, you know, to de-stress. I had barely gotten a few scrolls in when all of a sudden I get slapped in the face by this absolute treasure. What the Everything about this image just disgusts me. I've seen clickbait get bad. I've seen clickbait get really bad, but I have never once in my life seen something this egregious in any other genre of video. What the actual I mean, come on! It looks like a joke! It's absolutely absurd! This is so tasteless that no person in their right mind would think of making it for more than a second. Imagine being that low of a person that you would clickbait a 4-year-old child getting molested by an 82-year-old man. I thought this exact same thing when I first saw it. I was so taken aback by this absurd thumbnail that I had to watch the video just to see what could possibly constitute it. Turns out it wasn't clickbait. His Creepy Thoughts short mini-movie Gacha Studio is a story about a young girl named Luna whose father gets murdered by a mysterious ninja. Left with a broken family, Luna's mother eventually gets together with a mysterious old man named Gerald. And one day, while Luna's mother is at work, Gerald decides to Luna. And this happens on screen for everyone to see. Granted, it's obviously censored because Gacha Studio characters don't have the stuff, and in the end it's more implied than not, but the act was still clearly visible happening, at least for a couple of seconds. The entire build-up and premise was absurd and uncomfortable, and the way it was presented gave me the impression that no attempt was made to be conscientious or tasteful at all. Whether it personally upsets you or not, the topic of abuse was still trivialized, demeaned, and misconstrued as bait for pure shock value. And I think that we can all agree that this, especially for someone who makes content geared towards children, is unacceptable. This was not age-restricted. There wasn't even a real content warning in this video. The closest thing to there being any sense of self-awareness or respect at all coming from the author of this video was a half-hearted wall of scrolling text at the end talking about how the things that happened were wrong. Addressing what you've done doesn't change the fact that you've done it. In a way, the issue isn't even the fact that the video featured themes of abuse. Abuse is a common thing to explore in stories, and whether or not you do it accurately and tastefully, it doesn't necessarily affect me. Especially in the gacha community, it is common for kids to exercise their creative voice by portraying the most messed up things they can imagine, because they aren't developed or sophisticated enough to know when to effectively implement shock, horror, trauma, and abuse, and it's not my place, or any of yours, to scold and be angry at them. The issue with this video in particular is the way these themes were presented. It wasn't just an example of some kid slapping together a bunch of half-baked ideas and not caring of the consequences. This is somebody who deliberately used child abuse as a way to market their video. MyZVIP created the thumbnail, the concept, the title, and tags all around the premise of selling this video to as many people as possible. They knew they could get attention with this. They knew the promise of degeneracy and grotesqueness would attract people to the video, and for the most part, the kids who watched it simply accepted it, not quite capable of distinguishing why the clickbait or even the action committed was wrong. And this was not the last laugh for MyZVIP. Cop Loves a Criminal short mini-movie was honestly worse than the last one, somehow. The thumbnail may make it seem like it's just another over-the-top, messed-up child abuse story like the last one, but it's not. The video is about this girl who is wrongfully accused of committing a crime and then ends up getting rescued by this cop. The cop character, who initiates the act with this apparent child, is portrayed as a hero. Them doing the deed at the end is portrayed like it's a good thing. Such a good thing, in fact, that a good minute at the end of the video is dedicated to censored images of the two characters having sex. This video was also available for all ages. Now, if you're at all like me, you've probably already clicked into another tab and tried searching around for these videos out of sheer curiosity. You won't find them on YouTube anymore. That's because MyZVIP's channel was terminated briefly after they published them, thank God. I wasn't going to talk about this whole situation purely because of this fact, but very recently, our dear friend seems to have made a comeback. They're being a bit more careful with what they post now, although it really isn't saying much. Actually, though, they still do have a re-upload of one of their more ballsy videos from recent past on the new channel. Thankfully, the implied sexual abuse is just clickbait this time. Initially, I figured that this was just some insane outlier. Something I kind of expected, sure, but an outlier nonetheless. I really just have way too much faith in this godforsaken community, don't I? I think that one of the most ironic things about MyZVIP was the fact that the absurd pedophilia might not have even been the reason their channel was terminated. You see, before MyZ here was a Gachatuber, they made Movie Star Planet videos. Not just playthroughs or discussions of the game, though. They made videos about fake glitches for in-game currency and exposés of other YouTubers. From the very beginning, this channel was dedicated to misleading, manipulative content, and that much carried over, and seemingly multiplied, into their gacha phase. But that's not all. This goes deeper. After I watched Maisy's content for the first time, I started getting recommended even more videos with grossly clickbaited thumbnails from different channels. Queen Wolf, Lily Trescott MSP, Kaylin XOX, Darflix, all of these channels are, or were, Movie Star Planet related and made fairly similar videos, and then, around the same time that Maisy did, started producing highly sexual, inappropriate, or simply disturbing gacha content. What's more, from what I've seen, the people who run these accounts are all teenagers or children. In the case of Lily Trescott MSP, her account is managed by her mom. While Lily's gacha content is significantly less graphic than the others, I think it's safe to assume, just by the way these channels are run and the fact that many of them can put ads on their videos, that this rings true across the board. In that case, and really in any case, what the hell? Why is this allowed? Why are all these Movie Star Planet kids making creepy gacha clickbait? Is this some sort of conspiracy? I think, in a way, this is just a logical progression. It's just like how we went from Finger Family nursery rhymes on YouTube Kids to crude animations of Disney characters dying in gas explosions. It's boundary pushing for shock value. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not Puritan in any sense. I love content which pushes the envelope for its morbidity. The more vulgar and surreal it is, the better. However, I think we can just about all draw the line in this case. What these YouTubers are doing is manipulative and downright tasteless. Not to mention the fact that these are all made for kids. These people know who their audience is, and they know they're getting clicks off of taboo alone. As much as I despise these channels, and I really do, I still don't condone any harassment against them. These creators are teenagers, and in the end, it would really only do more harm than good. The parents, if anything, are the ones at fault here. Sure, kids aren't completely clueless, and they can be pretty cunning and damaging when they really want to, but it's much more likely that, as in the case of Gacha WoW, this is a case of severely mishandled management. The way I see it, there are two logical explanations for this behavior. Either the parents aren't doing enough to prevent their children from making manipulative content, or they are fully responsible for it. Whichever explanation you think applies, I definitely believe this is a serious issue more people should be discussing. Reporting these videos when you see them goes a lot further than posting hate comments. Gacha videos are big right now, and from where they stand, they can only grow further. You can have your own opinions about whether or not the content is good or valuable, but that is besides the point here. What stands invariably is the fact that it offers a platform for money-hungry creators to make really quick, easy profit. The turnout is so absurdly high for something so simple and talentless that this community was, in all reality, doomed from the start. All we can do is hope the fallout is mostly contained. Hey y'all. I'm sorry that this is the second video I've made on this topic, but I think it was something that really needed to be addressed, and I've wanted to get it off my chest for some time. Again, I mean no hate towards the creators mentioned in this video, and if I do see people directing needless hate at them, I will be very disappointed. It's nice to know that you all care about the problem, but that's not a good solution. With that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, it would mean a lot to me if you could like this video and subscribe. I'm a small channel and every bit of support helps, if you have the time of course. And if you'd like to hang out or just share pictures of Tamatoa from Moana, you can check out my Discord server, maybe follow my Twitter, and if you'd like to buy some art, check out my Fiverr page where I'm drawing references and character designs. For a bit more, you could even get some talk sprites like mine, who knows? It's a way to snatch some art and support the channel. But enough with begging for ruples. Thank you all so much for watching. You're like the soft down of a baby egret, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye!